You hear about global warming all the time, right? But the story is so much stranger than you think. It's not just about the planet getting hotter. No. Today we're going to dive into a truly chilling paradox. How record-breaking heat could actually be the very thing that triggers a new ice age for an entire continent.
Okay, first things first. Let's start with the fact that we're all feeling. 2024 officially went down in the books as the hottest year ever recorded. I mean, it's pretty clear our planet has a fever, and we are seeing the symptoms absolutely everywhere. And look, we're not talking about a tiny little increase here. Temperature records aren't just being broken, they're being completely shattered. In Australia, the heat soared to a blistering 50.7 degrees Celsius.
And this isn't just some isolated event, it's a truly global phenomenon. Up in Canada, a country you usually think of as, cold, the thermometer hit a staggering 49.6 degrees. Then you have Mexico, where it climbed to an almost unbelievable 52 degrees. I mean, that's not just weather anymore. That is a straight-up test of survival in a climate that's going off the rails. So the world is getting hotter. Case closed, right? Well, not exactly. This is where the story takes a wild turn. What if all this intense, world-melting heat could be the trigger for the complete opposite, a deep freeze that could literally lock down an entire continent? The first clue that something is really wrong with that simple everything gets hotter story comes from this really strange anomaly out in the North Atlantic. So get this. While the rest of the planet is warming up, there's this massive patch of ocean just south of Greenland that has been stubbornly, steadily cooling for over a century. And for scientists, this isn't just a weird quirk, it's a massive warning sign. You see, that cold spot isn't just some curious weather pattern, it's actually a symptom that one of the planet's most critical engines is starting to sputter and fail. And that engine has a name. It's called the AMOC. The easiest way to think about it is like the planet's circulatory system. For thousands of years, this enormous ocean current has acted like a giant conveyor belt, pulling warm water from the tropics all the way up to the North Atlantic. That's the main reason Europe has its famously mild climate. So here's how that engine is supposed to work. You've got warm, salty water from the south flowing north on the surface. When it hits the freezing cold air up near Greenland, it cools off, gets way denser, and then it sinks, plunging deep into the ocean. Now that sinking motion is the absolute key. It's what pulls more warm water up from the south, keeping the whole conveyor belt moving. So how do you break a system that's been working perfectly for millennia? Well, it's surprisingly simple. You just dilute it. The whole engine runs on that cold, dense, salty water sinking. But if you pour a massive amount of light, fresh water on top, it just sits there. It acts like a lid, preventing the salty water from sinking, and the entire system just stalls. So where in the world is all this fresh water coming from? You guessed it. Global warming is melting ice at a pace we've never seen before. Greenland's ice sheet, along with massive glaciers like Thwaites, which they've nicknamed the Doomsday Glacier, are dumping billions upon billions of tons of fresh water right into that critical spot, basically poisoning the engine of the AMOC. And a stalled AMOC doesn't just mean Europe gets a little bit cooler. No, the consequences are way more extreme than that. They create a planet of shocking, dangerous contrasts. If that thermal conveyor belt shuts down and stops bringing heat north, scientists are predicting that temperatures in parts of Europe could drop by a staggering 5 to 15 degrees Celsius. That's not just a chilly winter. We are talking about conditions that could literally kick off a localized ice age. Okay, but at the same time, on the other side of the Atlantic, the complete opposite happens. All that warm water that was supposed to go to Europe has nowhere to go. So it just piles up along the US East Coast. This could lead to rapid sea level rise, flooding cities from Miami to New York. And all that extra warm water, it acts like rocket fuel for hurricanes, potentially creating superstorms more powerful than anything we've ever seen. And please, don't think this is some distant, far-off threat. To send a crystal clear message, the Prime Minister of Tuvalu actually delivered a speech to the UN while standing knee-deep in the rising ocean. For low-lying nations, the consequences are already here. His words were simple and, frankly, terrifying. We are sinking. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds like the plot of a disaster movie. But the thing is, this planetary engine has broken down before. We can actually see the evidence written right into our planet's history.
History gives us a pretty clear warning. About 12,900 years ago, a massive natural flood of fresh water shut the AMOC down and plunged the Northern Hemisphere into a mini ice age for 1,300 years. Even the little ice age that froze Europe a few centuries ago is linked to this system slowing down. The terrifying difference now, scientists are warning that a full-on collapse could happen within our lifetimes.
And this right here is the most crucial takeaway. In the past, the trigger for these shutdowns was a natural event, like a comet impact or the end of an ice age. This time, the massive flood of fresh water isn't natural. It's being caused by the greenhouse gas emissions from human activity. The mechanism is ancient, but the trigger is us. For nearly 12,000 years, basically all of recorded human civilization has existed in an unusually calm, stable climate period. It's the only climate we've ever really known. So the question we're now facing is a profound one. By breaking one of Earth's most fundamental climate engines, are we actively pushing our planet out of this Garden of Eden and fast-forwarding to a much more chaotic,